Hey, greetings everybody, and welcome here to Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I am the host of this show. This is a show dedicated to progressive rock and other forms of rock music. So here we go in our series for September. This is battle number 2, series number 2. So overall, as series, this is battle number 18 on day 18. And that's probably likely the way I'll phrase it, because I'm not going to remember all these numbers. If I was good with numbers, I'd have been an accountant instead of this, but I'm not. So music is my thing. So today we're doing a battle between, I think this is going to be equally as tough as yesterday's choices. I still haven't made a choice here. I really like both bands quite a bit. I guess the best way to do it is the minus system. So they start at 10s and they minus down according to what I like and don't like. And then when I get to the end, if they're that close, and these two are pretty damn close, I go with what feels right. Is that a wrong way of going about it? I don't know, but that's the way I do it. So anyways, the first band is the Spanish band that we did earlier, and a couple weeks ago now, I guess. Medina Azahara, self-titled album or untitled debut, whatever you want to call it. It was their first album, released in 1979. Difficult to find. You can find lots of their stuff, but this particular one not easy to find, so I had to list all the tracks and then look for them individually. I got most of it though. Initially, I got a couple more since then. Excuse me. Anyways, this is a very good album. Despite the fact that it isn't in English, the vocals are very clear. Lots of good harmony vocals on this album too. This band is surprisingly hard for a progressive rock band. I would classify these guys as being hard rock, progressive rock, without knowing what they're singing about. That would be my classification of them. The album is really clear sounding. Vocals are spectacularly clear sounding as well. What else? Quite a good instrumentation album. Everybody on their individual instruments are quite talented, all of them, adding a lot, especially the drummer. I think the drummer is fairly exceptional. I think, I'm not even sure, I don't know anything about them other than what I hear, and that's the way I tend to be with my series. I'm listening to the music, the fluff that comes around it, the people that played on it, the information about the album, all that comes later. If you like them enough to do a classic rock review, then yes. But otherwise, I just tend to stick to the music and what I hear and what I like and what I don't like. Some of the stuff on here is pretty fast-paced. It's really catchy beats as well. Lots of catchy guitar. The solos are very forward. Like when he's playing his solo, he's right out there in the front, and that I like that. It doesn't work with every band though. Some bands require more subtlety. This band, not so much, I don't think. They have that cover on their album that's kind of Egyptian-like, which is catchy as well. I think the guitar harmonies are good. Keyboards support that very well. Sometimes they get, when you have guitar and keyboard on the same album, especially if you've got two people who like to be in the front, sometimes there can be a bit of a clash there. If they're really good musicians and they don't have the big egos, they tend to know that each of them's going to get its part to play, and they try to support the other guy as best they can. And I get more of that from this than I got any of the other stuff. I do like the bass and drum parts quite a bit. I think this band, because they're so good instrumentally, they tend to really jam together quite nicely, and I find the But for me, the drums and the bass are the rhythm section, and they come out with some really good sounds on this album. So for me, this is a spectacular album. Definitely, I've actually listened to some of their stuff on some of their other albums too, and this band has got a lot of like really solid albums. Definitely, they need more attention. I'm not sure why they didn't get as much. It might be because the language barrier, if for most English-speaking people, is a little bit of a deterrent. So they don't really follow it. They don't understand it, so they turn it out. Unfortunately, that's sometimes the case of it. But overall, it's a pretty strong album, I think, and an even stronger band, because some of the stuff they did later I think might even be better. So their opponent for this particular battle is Popol Ace, and the album Stolen from Time, 1974. This is a Norwegian band. They beat out the Swedish band Atlas last time. Could have went either way, but I think they're a stronger band, instrumentally wise, and some unique stuff on their album too. They tend to mix that more quieter, pastoral instrumentation, like piano and flute, violin. They tend to mix that quite well with the more heavy instrumentation of keyboards, drums, bass, and guitars, and they mix the music fairly well too, so you'll have a little bit of both in their repertoire. This album is a little bit older than the Azahara one from 1974. Sound isn't quite as good, not as crystal clear anyways. The album cover, I wish I had it to show you. It very reminiscent of Hair of the Dog. They have that same kind of bat-like creature on it, and drawn in the same kind of manner. I would not be surprised, and I probably will do this at some point, and look up the artist for that album and see if it's the same guy. It would make sense. They're fairly close in time period as well. I don't have the Hair of the Dog in front of me, but I'm pretty sure they're in. Yeah, if I could see it, I would pull it down. I bet you they're in the same. I bet you it's the same artist without looking. Very similar. Lots of similarity there. Okay, yeah, like I said, lots of kind of pastoral stuff, little synthesizer noises, keyboards, some piano here and there. Some very nice opening piano on this album. Quite a bit of it. Lots of little chimes and noises. That's weird, my phone went off. That never happens. Anyways, so good. Lots of really solid stuff here. I do like some of the smaller voices they use at different times, that try to keep the eventually it'll stop. Try to keep the album going along. I feel like it's a bit of a story, but because I've only listened to it once, difficult to know that until you've heard it a few times. What can I say more about this album? One of the songs, like I think I mentioned this on the last video, was a bit sappy. It's very ballad-like. That hurts it a bit because I didn't really enjoy that part of the album. They do have some funky parts here as well, which is kind of weird. And there's almost on some of the tracks I get an almost Kansas feel to their stuff. I don't think it sounds like Kansas, don't get me wrong. I think at some points there's this, it just, when I'm listening to it, Kansas pops into my mind. That's what I mean by, okay, so you have bands that sound just like somebody, and I will say things like, oh, this band is like a carbon copy of that band, or they have a strong Kansas influence, or they have a very Kansas sounding album. That means it's strong. When I say a hint, that means that it popped into my mind. That's basically what it means for me. It's a hint. So it hinted at them, and my brain took the bait and said, yes, that's Kansas. I hear Kansas here. So I want to make sure that I'm clear about those two distinctions, because otherwise sometimes people think I'm telling them that this sounds just like Kansas when I didn't say that. If it sounds just like Kansas, I will say that. And if it doesn't sound like Kansas, I will not say anything. However, if it has a hint, I may say, well, there's a hint of it here, or there's a touch of it here, which means that it made an impact that reminded me of them. So I just wanted to make that clarification, because I know some people have taken it to heart when I say this sounds like there's a hint of this sound to it, and they'll say that doesn't sound anything like them. I didn't say it did. I said it has a hint of it, which means it reminded me of them. That's it. Okay, so having said all that, now I got to choose one of these two bands. Popol is very good, and I tend to like Norwegian bands. I do like Wobbler very much, and there's a sentimental reason for me to choose them. Medina Azahara, they don't speak English, and that works against them a bit, but the vocals are so good despite the language barrier. I just think that is the separating part here. That's the part for me that makes the difference. Both bands are pretty damn good instrumentally. I think Medina Azahara a little bit better. I do like the more intricacies of Popol, but when it comes down, the vocals on Popol are good. They're in English. I can understand them. But the Mazarian ones are a better quality. The album's a better quality, and it's just, even though I don't understand what they're saying, it's just really catchy. So I'm going to go with Medina Azahara today. And this kind of surprises me a bit. I thought that I liked Popol a little bit more, but it's not by much. A hair, a few little things that are a little bit better on the Medina Azahara album that I just thought, I think I will like them a little more going forward as well. So that's who's going to move on today for the second round, episode number 18. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please like and subscribe. I will return tomorrow with another one. So take care. Bye.